What is going on, everybody? Been a diehard Pistons fan since 2003 and starting to get cautiously optimistic about this Pistons team. Cade Cunningham has, of course, been having a great year for our Pistons, and All-Star voting will be opening up very soon, and it's a very big topic right now for a lot of Pistons fans on if they think Cade Cunningham can reach his first All-Star game. So in today's video, we are going to go through and talk about his competition in the East for other guards that he could potentially be competing with for these all-star spots, and kind of just lay the land for what needs to happen between now and when the rosters are selected in order to get Cade his first all-star nod. I know that this might not be the most important thing for some Pistons fans, but myself, I know that I've talked down on a lot of things in the NBA that I've deemed as kind of gimmicky, whether that be the in-season tournament or the play-in, but the All-Star game has a special place in my heart, so I do want to see Cade make the All-Star game. I think that'd be great for his career, confidence, and everything in between. So to hop right into it, let's just talk about the first couple guys that I don't think will miss the All-Star game unless something crazy happens, barring injury, whatever. First one, Donovan Mitchell. Nothing more needs to be said here. The Cavs are 21-4. Donovan Mitchell is anointed as the best player on this team, even if he isn't exactly that every night. Donovan Mitchell is averaging something like 24 points on 45% shooting, 4.5 rebounds, 5 assists. He's going to get in one way or the other, just due to the fact that he is kind of the main guy for the Cavs, who are 21-4, so no question there. Second guy who's definitely going to get in is going to be Jalen Brunson. Not only are the Knicks located in New York, they're also 15-9. He's putting up great stats as well. He's averaging 25 points to go along with 8 assists himself, so he's going to get in, no questions asked there. Next player that is pretty much a lock in my eyes is Damian Lillard. I know that the Bucks did not get off to the greatest start in the world, but they are now 12-11, over 500. Dame is averaging 26 points and 8 assists per night on 45% shooting, has the name recognition. He's going to get in. I think that those three guys, Donovan Mitchell, Brunson, Dame, we can just toss out the window because those are probably going to be 2 of the 3 guard starters, and they're going to make the All-Star game just based on team success, stats, and notoriety. They all deserve it. So now this is where it gets tricky, because this is where Cade kind of falls into place. There's realistically no chance of him making it over those 2 starters, and that leaves 2 guard spots on the bench and 2 wild cards that can be any position. Last year, the Eastern Conference, both of the wild cards went to guards. I think that has a high chance of happening again this year because the guard pool is just a lot stronger than the wings or bigs in the East. So let's talk about who his real competition is for what would be the last guard spot, and then the 2 wild cards as well. The first guy is going to be Trae Young. Right now, the Hawks are 1 game above 500, 13-12. They have 3 more wins than the Pistons in the same amount of games played. Trae Young is scoring a lot less than he has in previous years. He's averaging 21 points per game. That's still a good bit, but not like he has in previous years. But he is leading the league in assists with 12.2 per game, which is a crazy number. However, with that lower scoring, he also has a lower field goal percentage. 38.5% from the field is not that great. But if that scoring starts to turn on and the Hawks start winning more games, there's a good potential that Trae Young could potentially cause some issues for Cade with that last guard spot plus 2 wild cards. But the one thing to note about Trae is that in previous years, he has been snubbed from the All-Star game before. So I'm not sure if that means coaches are more likely to snub him again, or if that means that coaches are less likely to snub him again, but just something interesting to know. Another guy who is going to be some competition for Cade is going to be LaMelo Ball. So LaMelo Ball is averaging the most points per game out of any East guard by almost 6 points per game. He's averaging 31 points per night to go along with 7 assists and 5 boards. He is, however, less efficient than Cade. He has a worse field goal percentage, worse 3-point percentage. He turns over the ball just as much, and he's also been injured for the last 2 weeks. While the Hornets have a worse record than the Pistons, by a good couple games at this point. So, don't really know how to split the hairs there. I would lean Cade, but I'm also a big Pistons fan, so maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I would kind of break that down because Cade just has the advantage in rebounds, assists, efficiency, team wins, defense. I think Cade's got LaMelo's number, even though that 31 points per game is pretty hard to ignore. And then the next guy that we need to talk about is Darius Garland, somebody who I am really high on as a player, and I'm very unsurprised with the year that he is having as a bounce back year because I've always believed in DG. I really like his game, but he's averaging 20.5 points per game, so just over 20 points per night with 6.5 assists. He is almost 49% from the field though, and the biggest thing about that is the fact that the Cavaliers are 21-4. As I mentioned with Donovan Mitchell, the Cavs have been amazing, and I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that he does get an all-star nod, but hopefully not over Cade because that team success is great, but there is quite the gap in numbers between Garland and Cade right now. And the last guy that we do need to mention is going to be Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero is currently averaging 24 points per game, just like Cade is. However, he doesn't have the rebounds quite. He's only averaging 5 to Cade's 7. He definitely doesn't have the assists. He's only averaging 5 to Cade's 9. His efficiency is right around in the ballpark of Cade's. He's 47% from the floor. Cade is 45% from the floor. And the Heat have 2 more wins than the Pistons with 3 less games played. So that is a tricky one. Not really sure how to split the hairs there. Tyler Hero has unquestionably been having a good year, and if you watched him play against the Pistons, what can you say? The dude balled out against us and almost saved themselves from a loss that ended up going our way, and we had to play them again soon. But that's besides the point. So really what I want to kind of do is take a step back here and think about what the path is going to be for Cade. What can he do to edge out those last couple guys we mentioned and get into his first All-Star game? I think that 3 things need to happen. Number 1, he needs to maintain his counting stats. Right now, averaging 24, 7, and 9.5. I think that is totally great for getting an All-Star nod. Those are All-Star numbers unquestionably. The next thing that he needs to do is make sure that the Pistons win some more games. Right now, a lot of these teams like the Hawks and the Heat that have these potential all-stars on their team like Trae Young and Tyler Hero might get an edge and get selected in over Cade due to a small change in team success, which would be not ideal because I really don't think that's exactly how this all-star process should work. But that is how it's worked historically. So if the Pistons can catch up and be nose to nose with the Hawks and Heat by the time they select these, that'd be great. Because I think if the team success is the tiebreaker, I could see Cade not getting the nod. But if it's about the same and team total wins by the time this comes around, I think that Cade just has to get in off of the sheer numbers that are better than all those other guys. And the last thing is just to have more kind of iconic moments, eye-catching moments. Cade is not LaMelo. He's not going to be on SportsCenter top 10 every time he plays. That's not exactly his game. But unfortunately, that stuff does matter a bit when it comes to all-star selection, so I think that could help him out too. So really, when I have to think about it, it's going to be tough because, as I mentioned, the 3 guys that I talked about, Dame, Brunson, and Donovan Mitchell, those guys are all locks. I think those guys are 3 of the 4 guards that have to make it. And then outside of that, I think that guys like Trae Young could potentially cause issues and LaMelo Ball could cause issues. And even Tyler Hero, because there's a lot of good guards in the East right now. And I think a lot of it's going to come down to team success, unfortunately. I think that those 3 guys are locks, but I think that if the Pistons are close to 500, Cade won't even have to worry about the wild card because I think he'll get in based on that. So let me know what you guys think. Just kind of wanted to go in depth and give everybody kind of a picture of the competition Cade is up against in the East to make the All-Star game. So if you guys want, you can kind of track in your head mentally where he's at against those guys. Just because if you're like me, you want to see him make it. So I'll catch up with you soon.